vacuum up all of the air with COVID, and all the COVID's going to be in the back.
Dr. Yoo and Dr. Segoo, why can't we open up some of our businesses?
Well, here in, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you quite well.
Well, here in California, with the governor's, wisdom, it's like only essential businesses can stay open.
So what constitutes essential?
Exactly. I mean, so we're in a gray area because, I have two practices. One is the chiropractic wellness center. So you could argue it is essential because we're taking the stress off the ICUs and urgent care. You know what the number one reason someone goes to a doctor in the US? Back pain. Mm-hmm. So if you're not letting the chiropractors, the orthopedic surgeons, the physical therapists, acupuncturists, or any type of, non-surgical practitioner to open, where is people going to go? The hospital. And they're going to overburden the hospital staff, which should be concentrating on the COVID patients, right? So it's ridiculous. And then dental clinics are struggling because no one's going in. Mm-hmm. And liquor stores are open. So go figure.
Right.
Alcohol destroys your body's endogenous stem cells. Mm-hmm. And it's your body's stem cells which immunomodulate your immune system to fight these viruses. Mm-hmm. All right. So it's like I said, the problem is the people who are running the hospitals and government making decisions on healthcare policy mm-hmm. are not healthcare professionals themselves. Right. So how can they possibly make these decisions when they are not on the front lines, like the nurses, risking their lives, mm-hmm. treating patients without any proper PPEs? Kim, did you see that IOC? I never watched TV, but I happened to be walking past. My wife was watching the news here in LA, and there's St. Joe's Hospital. It's one of the big, community hospitals, and St. Joe's administration is not providing the nurses with masks and shields. They're unprotected. They're like, you got to get out on your own.
And if you just listen to Dr. Shane here earlier, that he spoke about that being one of the most important parts of the medical practices routine is the PPE. And I had received a contact from a close friend for many years, and she was almost in tears. And she said that they're firing the doctors and nurses. And like you had mentioned, they're putting them on furlough as well because they're not giving them the medical protection they need. They're not giving them the tools and the resources.
Yeah, and then when you complain, what does the hospital admin do? You're furloughed, you're fired, you're reprimanded for speaking up, because they want to maintain a good image, yeah. So, like there was that emergency room doctor in New York. His video went viral. He was saying, this disease doesn't make sense. It doesn't follow the classic pneumonia patterns. It's like out of control. We don't need intubators because only 20% of the patients at intubation survive. Right. It actually causes more stress on the lungs mm-hmm. because these elderly patients that are already immunocompromised, they already have some type of lung disease like pneumonia, and they don't have the lung strength to breathe in the oxygen from the intubation, so they gag, they get more inflammation, more stress, they get acute respiratory distress syndrome, and the mucus makes it more hard to breathe. So it's like it's choking them. What they need is oxygen. And I'm glad Dr. Segoo is here. Maybe he could chime in on how hyperbaric oxygen, more oxygen delivery systems is the solution. There's a small company in Texas. They're a hyperbaric oxygen company, and they made a portable one. It's a clear helmet, and you got the oxygen tubes and that will deliver the oxygen. That's a solution, but you never hear about this. What does the CDC still say? Oh, we need more intubation. Oh, now you need an N95 mask.
Right.
After the fact. They just came out with that 2 weeks ago. Oh, these masks by Triple M only are going to the ICUs and hospitals. Well, where are these masks? Problem is, there's only 3 Triple M mask factories in the U.S. Most of them are overseas, so we can't even get them in the country.
That's not good. I actually have an N95 mask. I mean, you'd figure everybody would have. I had one prior to this happening.
$100 now if you want one.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm willing to sell mine for
Yeah.
but I have one, and I read the same statistics you do, Dr. Yoo, that when you intubate through these ventilators and they're acting like this is a solution, the mortality rate's 80%. So you basically lost the game the minute you have to go that direction. And then this new drug remdesivir that they're touting still has an 18% mortality. Now, the good news is most of them survive, but we're not
the answer, because
we're not sure if they would have survived anyway when you have an 18% mortality.
There were like 2 or 3 studies in China with remdesivir, and I guess they got the patents on it conveniently.
Yeah,
I think in January or February before the supposed outbreak. It's like, I mean, why is the very country that this pandemic originated from, why were they investing in these studies in the antiviral remdesivir before the news broke out? It's like too convenient.
Yeah.
And we know the answer is not just drugging people. Like we were talking about earlier, it's your immune system. Right. Natural immunity is already in your body. And that's why I'm always saying you got to take all measures to stay healthy. The bottom line is to enhance your body's God-given and endogenous stem cells, which we're all born with. I was just listening to a podcast yesterday. Now, although I drink coffee, I'm drinking the Bulletproof coffee. We talked about it as grass-fed butter, omega-3s, highly concentrated coconut oil, which has lauric acid. Butyrate is very healthy for your gut. Lauric acid is an antiviral. It breaks down the cellular wall of the coronavirus and other, pathogens. But the podcast says if you drink more than 1,000 milligrams of caffeine a day, it could suppress your body's immune system. Now I'm going to limit my coffee to 1,000 milligrams, whatever that works out to. And a cup of blueberries a day enhances your body's stem cells. And that's why the mortality rate, if you're 80 or above, is more than 10% if you get the COVID, because at that age, only 1 out of every 2 million cells is stem cell. So you don't have enough stem cells to make your immune cells to fight the virus. A newborn baby, 1 out of 10,000 cells is stem cell. All right. So let me share my screen and I'll show you the stem cell chart. Let me show you here. Can you all see so far?
Yeah. Well,
right.
Your screen.
You got to share your screen. Press the button to share screen.
Let me see how I could do that. Entire screen. Maybe application window or Chrome tab. Let me see. I'm used to Zoom. Let's see.
Yeah.
So in share screen you have 3 options. So you can select either of the options and select your tab.
Okay. So I selected entire screen. Let me know when you can see it. Can you see it?
Not
Let
yet.
me just put it on. Yes.
Yeah, you have to pick me, right? Can
You
see
have
my-
to pick. Yeah. Now we can see it. Yeah.
Okay, my desktop is a mess, right?
Yeah, you're busy.
Yeah, that's because I'm downloading so many different files from the latest research. But let me show.
Desktop has COVID.
Oh,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's like a world map for us.
Yeah.
If your desk is clean, you're not busy. That's my theory.
Yeah.
So now you guys see the stem cell?
Yes.
Yeah. So what is the stem cell? So the type of stem cell we use is adult stem cell. So it's not embryonic. Embryonic stem cell is the type of stem cell you get before the baby's born. All right.
Yeah.
From the blastocyst stage before it develops in the fetus. And that's controversial because theoretically, you are killing a potential fetus, a human being. So we don't use that. And we cannot use that in the US because George Bush banned embryonic stem cell research anyway. So we use adult stem cell, which is taken from the umbilical cord after the baby's born. So you can argue that that's ethical because the baby's already delivered, healthy. We're just taking the umbilical cord that's normally thrown away because those umbilical cord cells are day 0 old, which means they're more potent, they're more vibrant to boost your immune system and regenerate tissue. All right. But of course, in the FDA's wisdom, they used to ban stem cell therapy in the US, so people would have to fly to Germany, Switzerland, Russia, Panama, or Asia to get it done. So finally, Obama signed the 21st Century Cures Act, and Trump signed the Right to Try bill, which, hey, if you have a disorder that has not been helped by traditional means, drugs, injections, surgery, you have the right to try stem cells in the US, right? It's not approved yet, but under the Right to Try compassionate use bill, you can try it because these people are not able to fly overseas, and now you can't fly there anyways. The first way to get stem cells is from your bone marrow, and this is FDA approved for leukemia, blood cancer. But it's very invasive. They drill your hip, and there's not a lot of stem cells in your bone marrow, so they could take a lot of blood. It's under anesthesia, very risky for an infection. And then they started taking stem cells from your fat. But the problem with that is you got to mix it with a chemical called collagenase to separate the stem cells from the fat cells. And that's not FDA compliant because you're mixing it with a drug. So FDA doesn't mind you do the stem cells as long as you leave it in its purest form. It's called non-manipulation, and you're not mixing it with the drug. So they don't like stromal-vascular fraction, which is adipose-derived stem cells. You don't want this type anyways because the stem cells in your fat are just as old as you. So does it really make sense to take out a 65-year-old stem cell from your fat and put it in a 65-year-old body or body part? It's really not going to work or last. So what's the solution? We got to get stem cells from a young source, a newborn umbilical cord source. The baby's already born and delivered. We're just taking the waste product because the placenta, the umbilical cord is normally thrown out, but now it's donated to a lab. It's cleaned and tested where we could take the cells. We can give it to the recipient, which will enhance their immune system, make natural killer cells, T lymphocyte cells to kill viruses like the COVID. Those are the studies that in China that have been shown where severe COVID patients, the symptoms have been reversed in 2 or 3 days after umbilical cord tissue was given to these patients. And now there's a lot of rapid approval umbilical cord and exosome therapy for COVID that has gotten rapid approval in the US. Now look at the chart. The chart is like the death chart in the COVID patients where if you're 80 and above, most likely those are the patients that are going to die from the COVID.
Right.
But really there's been no deaths if you're 0 to 17 years old. And the reason why is you can see as you get older, your stem cell count decreases. So the older you are, the more you need stem cells from a young donor. It just makes sense. Here are the different human cell tissue products. A lot of people, they can get PRP. That's when they take some of your blood, spin it, and they give it back to you because there's platelets and growth factors. But again, those growth factors in the PRP are only as good as their age. And if you look at the chart, if you're over 30, your platelets, growth factor, stem cells are already decreasing in count, decreasing in virility. And then we have, look at the bone marrow. There's not a lot of stem cells in the bone marrow. And look at the adipose. There's a little more stem cells in there compared to bone marrow, but they're old. And you can see clearly that the umbilical cord tissue called Wharton's jelly, which is the surrounding membrane, has the highest count of stem cells and growth factors. And that was the tissue that they used in China to completely reverse the symptoms in 2 days of COVID. We could see a lot of athletes, this is their secret. They fly to Europe, they get stem cells. Here's what happened to Jack Nicklaus here. Watch this.
You have to unmute him.
You're going to have to exit out, and when you go back in, click to put sound so we can hear it. So
Okay.
Stop your share screen.
What I'll do, I'll just talk about what's going on there.
Sure.
All right.
Because we could play the sound. It you didn't click the button to do that.
Yeah, I don't see it, so
Well,
instead of
you
fumbling around, I'll just explain what's going on.
Okay. It's real simple though. If you stop share and then hit share again, and then when you hit share, there'll be a little button at the bottom that says video. And you click audio, and it will share your audio.
Yeah, but you brought up an interesting point, is that the thing is young people are not affected, at least mortality is next to 0 until you hit 60, and that starts taking off to 67.
Yeah, and you saw the stem cell chart.
Right. And the
After
stem
30,
cell,
see, most athletes retire at what, 30? Why?
right.
Because they don't have the stem cells to repair their hormones, their joints and muscles.
There's a breakdown.
Now, after 50, it takes a real dive. That's
Right.
why after 50, they say everything falls apart. Even
Yeah.
40, my joints hurt. You get cancer, heart disease, diabetes, because your stem cells fall apart. So
Right.
that's why you got to keep what stem cells you have healthy.
Yeah.
And the best way is, like I said, fasting, blueberries, nutrition, vitamin D.
Yeah, you also brought up blueberries. Now, blueberries have a high concentration of resveratrol, do they not? And haven't studies shown that resveratrol is actually very beneficial as an anti-aging supplement?
Yes, resveratrol, blueberry, mountain berries, raspberries. But you can't say that because if you say that on Google or YouTube, they'll take it down because it's not a vaccine.
Right. It's not
against their agenda.
No, I totally understand that it's not a vaccine, but the thing is, if you follow resveratrol for years, it's almost like the French paradox, where they drink a lot of wine.
It's a natural vaccine,
if you will. A natural vaccine, right? And this is what your arguments are, is to improve your immune system, because obviously if your immune system was like a 0 to 17-year-old, this thing wouldn't even be an issue, would it?
Hey, listen, so in the US, all births in OBGYN are done on a flat table, which makes no sense at all. In nature, how are baby animals born?
Drop.
They drop from gravity.
They do. Eggs drop from gravity. Everything's born from gravity except in the U.S. Women.
To give birth standing up, and you grab these ropes, and the baby would plop out because gravity would assist you, and that makes sense. But now, here's what I think: why it's done on a flat table, because you're not going to have gravity to assist you. So the OBGYN is going to say, "Oh, we have to do a C-section."
Right.
So they can charge you $5,000 or bill the insurance. Here's what's the problem with C-section birth. If a baby does not go through the birth canal, the vagina, natural birth, they don't get all the mucosa in the digestive tract, the placenta, the vagina, which has a lot of the immune factors. So a C-section birth it's sterile. The baby doesn't pick up all the microbiome by going through all the tube, which is your intestines, and through the vagina. What's going to happen, the baby's going to have a lot of autoimmune disease, no immunity, and they put them on milk formula. Who has a dog? You gotta pacify that dog. Put it on a mute or something.
Dog. Who's got the dog?
Very
You gotta mute it. Yeah. So you put them on milk formula. It doesn't have colostrum, which is in mother's milk, which is more immune factors. So already you're setting up the American baby for a lifetime of autoimmune disease And what is the solution? Oh, once they're birthed, you have to have this vaccine, right? Which, by the way, takes many years for that baby to develop the immunity for the pathogens they put in that vaccine, when they need to start out with a natural birth and natural milk formula, which they don't really promote, you know. They just want to put a vaccine in there. Well, you can't go to school until your child, public school, until your child has this vaccine regimen, all right? And now what I'm afraid is they're going to push this vaccine agenda that say, oh, every American, everyone in the world has to have this supposed COVID-19 vaccine that they'll mandate. And if you don't have it, see, they're going to put a tattoo, or Bill Gates wants to put like a tattoo or some type of chip in your hand so they can monitor to see if you have had the vaccine. And if you don't, you cannot do financial transactions. They won't let you in public places, which is unconstitutional. And it goes against the Geneva Convention. What happened in World War II? Germans are like, okay, all Jewish citizens, we're going to put a tattoo on your arm. And it's just a new public law policy. And people are like led to a lamb to slaughter. Because, oh, you're going to go on a train, and we're going to take you to this resort. Oh, you're going to have a shower. And they gassed 14 million of them. But not to mention, yeah, I mean, what is the country going to? If you don't think about these things, you're going to be a lamb to slaughter.
Yeah, we really don't.
We need a grassroots approach to say, hey, vaccine is not the answer. It's your body's own immunity. I have not heard anything from Bill Gates or Bill Gates is not even a real doctor, first of all. He's in IT, computer technology. Who is he to be the spokesperson for the WHO? Because the World Health Organization, he's the biggest fundraiser.
It's
right.
money.
Now, why did
again? It's about money. It has nothing to do.
If you look at his interview, he's stuttering the whole time.
Why is Giuliani assigned the science advisor of the president? He's not a scientist. He was a politician. It's about money.
And even Fauci, he's the one that falsely said that HIV causes AIDS. No, it does not. He did it. He was invested in the AZT, the antiviral for HIV. I mean, that's, the guy.
Oh, apparently, Doctor, he's frozen up just a minute.
Doctor, what do you?
But he has a point on not everybody needs to be vaccinated. I mean, if you're over age 60, I can see that you should take the vaccine. But if you're under age 60, do you really need to be vaccinated when the mortality rate is probably less than just a regular flu? It doesn't make sense to say, hey, I'm going to vaccinate an 18-year-old. That's kind of ridiculous.
It's just like telling everybody has to stay inside. No,
yeah, sure.
If you're 65 and older and immunocompromised, yes, you should self-quarantine.
Of course.
But if you're under 40, if you're in the working force, strong immune system, strong lifestyle, you're not a smoker, you don't have diabetes, you don't have heart disease.
Right.
You should be in the workforce.
Right.
And you want to get infected, so you develop the antibodies.
Then you build the antibodies.
To fight it. Yeah, like the flu virus.
Exactly.
Everyone gets it. There's a new strain every year.
Exactly.
And
correct.
Guess what? You develop the antibodies. That's your natural immunity.
I totally agree. Yeah. If you're like under 30 and you didn't get vaccinated, but you got it, but now you developed the antibodies and you basically were self-vaccinated. Why give a person under 30 a vaccination? It doesn't make any sense. If you're over age 60, it makes sense. And then if you're uncompromised, but see, my fear is what you're doing, it's going to be one solution for everybody. It's just the same thing when they did the quarantine, one solution for everybody. And then the vacuum cleaner person only has one person walk in a day, gets X'd out when Costco and Walmart are out making money. It doesn't make any sense because the government usually has one solution for everybody rather than having a correct solution for everybody. In other words, because it varies. So,
this is not going to be solved by government. It's going to be solved by small business like us, which is 78% of the economy. We're gonna be the innovators. We're the ones doing a grassroots approach, like this podcast, to educate the public. Don't let them brainwash you that yeah, everyone has to self-quarantine. Everyone
Sure.
has to take this vaccine.
Yep.
You know, everyone needs remdesivir. You know, it's like, come on.
Hey,
Maybe
everybody
they
needs
have
cholesterol, right?
resveratrol, not remdesivir, which still has a high mortality rate. So I'm like not impressed. You know, other than Gilead Sciences.
Have to approach this just like what we were talking about earlier with Dr. Jane, which I greatly appreciate that he came on and shared some of his frontline experiences with treating actual patients. And I think we just have to take each one individually. And if you know, like he keeps saying, please stay at home, use the phone. This is Dr. Sagu as well, right? Dr. Sagu and we preach this. And but stay at home and use the phone, call your doctor. Approach it with, you know, based on your symptoms, you know, what stage are you at? And then go to where the doctor tells you to go. I think each person, when I read some of the documentaries that are going on right now on Facebook, they some of the documentaries have taught us that it's a very painful in the lungs symptoms, and that they all talk about how they lost their senses, right? Their senses for smell and taste. And I think once you reach these stages, if you're not calling a doctor, something is very wrong. Education is going to be the most important thing. Human intelligence, to me, beats artificial intelligence any day of the week. If you have the knowledge of what's going on, how it attacks your body, and then like Dr. Yoo says, protect your body, right? And we talk about wearing masks and the proper PPE equipment. And these things are necessary during necessary situations, but we can't live like that. Our human race will not live like that. We've already seen a revolt going on in our country, and Trump supporting them. And, you know, my thing is fine. Y'all go get together, get the disease and get over it, you know, but don't sit here and come crying to us about getting. I look at other countries, and, you know, Australia is flatlined basically. Now they're preparing re-entry. India has a control over their situation. When I look at Australia, only had 70 deaths due to COVID-19. I'm just flabbergasted. I'm embarrassed. We're supposed to be the smartest country in the world, and we're treating our doctors and nurses at the front line like they're worthless, and we're behaving like children. And then we've got these beautiful doctors that are on the show with us every day, providing us solutions. And the best solution of all, hydration. Right? I don't think any of us do this enough. I see Dr. Yoo is drinking his drink, and Dr. Jatin is, you know, I've seen him a couple of times. Hydration, people, no matter what it is, water especially is probably the best thing we could do for our bodies. And then, you know, eat the blueberry. I eat blueberries all the time. I crave them.
Yeah, well, what Dr. Yoo is pointing out, which is really important, is boost your immune system. Because if you did have an immune system like an under 30-year-old, you would survive this, even if you got it. And some of the people, the problem is they're asymptomatic because they have it, but they don't even know they have it. But they only got little sniffles because they're under age 30 with strong immune systems. When you get older, you don't have this.
Curious, is there? I don't ever hear about sniffles coming with this, or sneezing,
or whatever they have, a sore throat.
No, I'm curious though. Does that come with it?
But there's so many people in this country walking around with it, but they're young people, and because they have such strong immune systems, it just doesn't faze them. And so the thing is, one of the key things, and I totally concur with Dr. Yoo, is you've got to boost your immune system. And if you can't, then you need to quarantine, because there are some people that they're not going to, like I said, you can't reverse your age, and you can't get rid of certain underlying conditions like asthma and diabetes, but you can reverse a lot of that, as you well know. And Dr. Sagu is a bariatric surgeon. There has been studies that when people do have bariatric surgery, that they actually reverse diabetes. Would that be correct, Dr. Sagu? You have to unmute him.
I'm trying. Hold on. My computer does not work the best with me. Hold on.
Yeah. Just make So since ages we are doing the bariatric surgery, earlier it was done openly and now the laparoscopically. And now what we have seen by the bariatric surgery, there is a definitely improvement of metabolic syndrome. That is not only the diabetes, it includes the hypertension also, it includes your hypothyroidism also, it includes your infertility also, and it includes so many things which are included in the metabolic syndrome. So actually there is a big relationship between the brain and your gut, that is the digestive system. So basically, diabetes is not because of the pancreas, it is because of mismanagement between your brain and your gut, that is the digestive system. So because of the hormone imbalance, the metabolism has slows down. And when we boost up the metabolism and we increase the sensitivity of the insulin by doing the bariatric surgery, so definitely there is improvement in the diabetes also, and you get a lot of good insulin and good response of the insulin and other things also. Because adipose tissue itself, it creates resistance to the insulin. So you have insulin. What is there in the diabetes? You have an insulin, but that insulin is not effective to work on your cells. That insulin is not enough to send the glucose into the cells. So when there is a bariatric surgery and there is upliftment of all the hormones, it may be ghrelin hormone decreases, it may be some other hormones. So there is increased sensitivity of the insulin, and the insulin starts working. When the insulin starts working, your diabetes is gone.
Right. Yeah, and the thing is, that's the studies that I've read. So the thing is, so you're continuing doing bariatric surgery because it helps people become more immune to the coronavirus, right?
Yeah. So in the meantime, in these 2 months, we have stopped doing bariatric surgery now for the elective patients, and I think within 2 months, 2-3 months, we are going to start surgeries again.
Sure.
And definitely, I mean, this also boosts up the immunity as well. It flush out your toxins, it flush out your bacteria also, and it maintains the normal micro biota of your gut. We have thousands, millions of some bacteria, good bacteria in the gut, in the digestive system. So if we can maintain that, that will also provide us the immunity, and that also boosts up the immunity.
Right. Yeah.
I'm curious in some essence about stem cell boosting. Is that something we can inject ourselves with, or is that something that, I mean, how does that work?
Well, the best, like I said.
Yeah. Tell us how stem cells work, because I missed taking stem cell 101 in college.
I'm just curious. He's talking about it building our system to fight the COVID, but I heard you and Tommy talking about stem cell therapy. Tommy went to receive it. I don't understand how it is received.
How does it work?
How does it work?
All right. So the way stem cells work is, let me get my presentation up here. Can you see my screen?
You got to share it.
All right.
Press share screen.
All right. Here we go. Let's see if my sound is activated now. There you go.
I missed taking stem cells in college and high school, so I missed.
There you go. Yeah. Well, guess what? Medical doctors also have missed stem cell biology because they get 0 hours of stem cell biology, and that's why in medical school they don't teach this. All right. It's all about, you know, if you have this drug, if you have this symptom, you have this drug. All right.
Sure.
So a stem cell, like I said, is something we're all born with. And there are embryonic stem cells, and those are stem cells before you're born. All right. And they're more what's called pluripotent, which they could change into more tissue. The problem with using embryonic stem cell, because they're more primitive and they could change into a more wide variety of tissue, they could theoretically cause tumors or cancers, right? So we use adult stem cells like shown here. That's from the umbilical cord, because those stem cells can only differentiate in several different types of tissue, all right? And one of them is it boosts your T lymphocytes, which is your white blood cells, and natural killer cells, which are immune cells to kill viruses, all right? As we can see, compared to all the human cell tissue products, you can see we have umbilical cord blood, which has hematopoietic stem cells, which are blood-forming stem cells, red blood cells, white blood cells for immune system. And we have umbilical cord matrix, which is Wharton's jelly. That's the surrounding, it's the membrane of the umbilical. And that has the richest source of what we call mesenchymal stem cells. And those are the type of stem cells they used in the China study to reverse the COVID symptoms in those patients. And this is the study that a lot of US labs have gotten rapid approval for the FDA to use that to enhance the immune system to treat the COVID virus. All right. And like I said, a lot of athletes, this is their kind of secret sauce to keep them, vibrant. Here's a study where they put stem cells in a flask, and because of the second law of thermodynamics, they tend to spread around, right? Entropy energy. So you don't want to just put stem cells in your body and they wander around. You want to get them to the target tissue. Like, let's say you have knee pain, all right? So how do we get the cells to your knee? Well, to answer Kim's question, we would inject it right in the knee, and then we would laser the knee, and the laser would attract the stem cells kind of like a light glue, so it stays in the target tissue, and the cells will align to where it is. Another thing we're doing is exosome therapy, and see this big cellular wall? That's a stem cell. It's pretty big, all right? Now, exosome is a particle within the stem cell. Those are those little droplets, you see them with the arrows that are going out of the cell, and they go to the target cell. And these exosomes are very small. They're about 150 nanometers, which is about the same size as the COVID virus. So theoretically, if you give somebody these exosomes, you can IV it or you could inhale it. And if you inhale it, it will go to the lungs. If you IV it, 90% of this or umbilical cord blood will go to the lungs where you want it to go. And what it'll do is these exosomes or umbilical cord blood growth factors will compete with what's called the ACE2 receptor. And that's the receptor. It's like a lock and key mechanism. You know how the COVID virus is it's like a spike, right? They got the spike proteins. Right. Those proteins attach to the receptor like lock and key. But if you put exosomes or umbilical cord blood, those stem cells or exosomes will attach to that ACE2 receptor, preventing the COVID virus to attach so it cannot replicate. So this is now do you all understand why exosomes and mesenchymal stem cells can not only kill the virus, but they compete for this receptor so it can block the virus from attaching to it and replicating more virus cells. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, but is there anybody using that therapy or treatment in the United States?
Yes. So there's a company called Cellularity, and they got rapid approval for using placental tissue with natural killer cells for the COVID. There's another company which is applying for to do a rapid approval IND study using umbilical cord blood,
right?
To manage the virus. There's another company using the Wharton's jelly, umbilical cord membrane. So yes, there are a lot of studies coming out. I'm involved with many of these companies, so we could hopefully get involved in a study so we could provide this in our clinics to our patients as well.
Right.
So yeah, this is very, very exciting, and there is more media coverage on how countries are using stem cells to fight the virus as a natural immune therapy, if you will. So there's another doctor in Las Vegas I'm working for. I'm trying to get him in on the podcast today, Dr. Bill Sin. And Dr. Sin has developed a method to take your blood, so to get your growth factors like PRP, mix it with umbilical cord blood from a donor, and put it back inside of you, and that will compete with the ACE2 receptor to block the COVID virus from replicating. I'll make sure he's in on this part or the next, so he could talk about his technology.
Yeah, I mean, that would be something I would be
Dr. Wu. Dr. Wu, nicely presentation of your stem cells. I know this is the raw material which is being converted into the adult cells later on. But for the therapy of the COVID-19, as you said, that you're using the axonal or some stem cells, they bind with the spike receptor, which is the key for the corona, and then the COVID-19 cannot attach to the epithelial cells. Are these cells being extracted from a recovered patient? If it is from the recovered patients,